Greetings, Otaku Faithful. Thank you for joining me again this week. Once again, it's Larry Williams, OAW Commander-in-Chief, and I'm here to bring you all yet again another Discussion of the Week video segment right here on Otaku Assemble! Weekly, as always, I'm here to bring you the latest in this week's Discussion of the Week video segment. But before I jump into this week's topic, I do want to address something that you all might have been noticing about this segment. This is the second week in a row in which I've selected a discussion topic that was not the most voted up in the previous video comment section. And the reason for this is that I'm noticing that a lot of the topics that are being suggested, and especially the ones that are being voted up the most, are topics that I have either discussed previously in a Discussion of the Week video, or it's a topic that I've discussed in another one of my previous videos. Now, I am more inclined to believe that the reasoning for this is because I get so many new subscribers on a daily basis, and I get new viewers, people who are new to my channel every day. And so I'm more inclined to believe that that's the cause for this, I do not believe, or rather I do not want to believe that it's because my viewership has kind of found itself in redundancy. I don't believe that, because I know for a fact that the viewers of my Discussion of the Week segment are on the up and up. I know you guys come up with some of the best discussion topics. What we're doing with the Discussion of the Week videos, I'm talking about we as in me and my viewers, the shit ain't been done before on YouTube, or at least not to my knowledge. And I know you guys are capable of very creative and very thought-provoking topics, so I know that redundancy thing, that can't be the case. Can't be the case. I think it has more to do with more and more people are discovering my channel every day, and they haven't seen the videos in which some of these topics have already been addressed. So just right quick, in regards to like the villains topic, check out my favorite villain videos, the few that are on this channel and the few that I've done on Rogues Gallery Incorporated. Check out those videos, because in those videos, even though I'm addressing, the villain of that series that I'm discussing that week, I talk about villain archetypes in literature and all that jazz. That's covered in those videos. Anything that has to do with stereotypes, check out all of my stereotype videos that are in the Discussion of the Week segments, so on and so forth, because most of the rules in regards to stereotypes, like what was addressed at the beginning of last week's video, most of those rules apply. Okay? Whether it's racial stereotypes, whether it's sex stereotypes, whether it's religious stereotypes, political stereotypes, most of those same rules apply. Okay? And then I remember, what was the other one? The whole racism thing. Now this one a lot of you all might not know about. Check out my Sons of Anarchy Season 4 Episode 11 review. I believe that's the episode. There's a whole racism rant in there. Check that out. And then, of course, the multiple video responses that rant got, check out all of those videos too. It's all covered in there. Ethnicity portrayals, I've discussed that in the Discussion of the Week before. So check those out. Are we all clear on that? Cool. Now, let's talk about this week's discussion topic, which comes from the Enraged Fixation and Discussion of the Week. In today's modern society, people have become extremely overweight. How do you feel about the obesity rate in adults and in children? How does a person's obesity impact the health and wellness of a family member who is anxious about the health of their loved one? Also, what are your thoughts about fast food restaurants advertising more and more unhealthy foods in their menu? Finally, do you think the government needs to control what we eat? So, what I'm going to do for this topic, I'm going to narrow this topic down as speaking about the obesity issue in America. I'm going to narrow this topic down specifically to America, and that's not to exclude any of my international viewership. That's just because I can talk about it in America. I can talk about my experiences and my perceptions and observations about obesity because I live in America. I can talk about it with a bit more expertise because I haven't experienced it in other countries. I haven't seen it in other countries. So that's why I'm going to narrow it down specifically to obesity in America. So also, before I jump into this topic, I want to go ahead and let this be known. Okay, I have various views on the issue of obesity in America. I'll discuss those in this video. However, I will not be caught. I don't want any of what I say to come across as hypocritical, because just want y'all to know right here and now, I do eat fast food. I do eat fast food on I would probably say a weekly basis. You know, at least once a week I do eat out, either to a fast food restaurant or some type of restaurant, at least once a week. I do that. I will be the first to admit that I don't necessarily eat the best healthy foods. I don't. Many times whenever someone talks to me about health, I respond with this: I treat my body like an amusement park. I am 23 years old right now. I'm going to get the most out of my body that I can right now because I will not be able to eat certain foods when I get older. Also, take in consideration this. As many of you might know, I am relatively thin. I only weigh about 156 pounds. I have a very fast metabolism. My body breaks down food very quickly. It breaks down liquids very quickly. It breaks down things like caffeine and alcohol very quickly. So I never had an overweight problem. I've never had a weight problem. I actually have to work in order to gain weight, and I can't keep it. So all those things correlate in my attitude towards my own diet and my own the food I consume. I generally don't mind eating fast food because I know I don't get the pounds. Does that mean that it's good for me? No, it does not. It does not mean that it's good for me. All I'm saying is I know the way in which my body operates, and so I'm more inclined to take the risk. That's all I'm saying. Now, let's jump into the topic. Okay, so how do I feel about the obesity rate in adults and children? Well, of course, I don't really need to beat a dead horse at this point. We know that there is a huge obesity problem in America. However, with that being said, I am more concerned with the obesity rate in children than I am in the obesity rate in adults. And that's just because children are a lot younger. Children are not responsible necessarily for the food they consume. What I mean is this: children do not work. Children, I'm not talking about teenagers, I'm talking about children. Children do not work. They cannot earn money in order to purchase food. So they have to consume the food that is usually given to them by adults. It is not the child's responsibility. They don't really have a say in what it is they're eating. Do you follow what I'm saying? I'm not talking about like if listen, even if a child is eating, out of a snack machine or is eating, fast food, that money is given to them by an adult. Children don't necessarily have the choice more often than not. It's only in those few instances when they do have the money, therefore then they have the choice. Do you all follow what I'm saying? Children don't have the choice for the majority of the time. It's only in those few instances, whereas adults have the choice 100% of the time about the food that they consume. So I am more concerned with children because they don't necessarily have the choice. Also, because of course children are a lot younger. So the fact that obesity is a problem for a child is alarming because children haven't lived out the fulfillment of their life yet. So having obesity at a young age and all of the health issues and health problems that arise from that could potentially shorten that child's life. So that's why that's more alarming to me. Okay, how does a person's obesity impact the health and wellness of a family member who is anxious about the health of their loved one? Well, of course, obesity has multiple, it has multiple effects. Obesity, like many things in this world, it's all cause and effect. There's almost always a cause of it, whether it's the food that is being consumed or it's actually a health condition, like it's either a condition with that person's biologically, or it could even go as far as being a mental condition, because those do exist. So there's almost always a cause, and then there are always effects. And the thing is, obesity is one of those issues where it doesn't just affect that one person. It actually does affect their family. It affects their loved ones. At times it can even directly infect their offspring, because there are multiple cases of people who have health issues that they inherited from their parents. So it even has those type of effects, and those effects can be positive. There are positive effects, like the obesity of a family member can actually cause awareness in family and in the community. Whenever you have a person who struggles with obesity, and then they take the necessary steps to overcome it, or maybe they never take the necessary steps, and throughout an intention of their own, they kind of subsequently become like a cautionary tale, which of course, that's not necessarily best for that person, but it does create a somewhat positive effect in the people around them, because they learn, hey, Bob used to eat at this burger joint every day of the week. Don't do that, because look what happened to Bob. Or like I mentioned earlier, Bob could overcome that, and then he could use that message to other people, like, hey, I did this when I was younger, and this is what happened to me. So guys, don't do that. I mean, hell, one of my favorite documentaries, which is Super Size Me from Logan Spurlock, was that not what that whole documentary was about? It wasn't necessarily, Super Size Me, to me, doesn't come across as the type of film where it's being preachy. No, we all know what fast food will do to you. Morgan Spurlock, excuse me. What Morgan Spurlock did in Super Size Me, it's not that he's trying to teach you something you probably don't already know. He's trying to show you. It's like, look, you've been told this from being a kid, but it's not sinking in. I'm going to show you the effects of this stuff. And he shows it to you, and it becomes a precautionary tale. It's, look, this is what I did in order to illustrate a point to you, to show to you how damaging this food really is. Don't do what I did. Don't try this at home. That's the whole point of that. Also, what are your thoughts about fast food restaurants advertising more and more unhealthy foods in their menu? Okay, this is where I have to play devil's advocate for the fast food industry. I do. Hang on a minute. I know what y'all gonna be thinking. Whoa, Larry, man, you can't do that. What are you talking about, man? Whoa, no, man. These companies are evil. They're evil, and they're harming our kids. No. Cut that bullshit out. Get off your fucking high horse. Stop looking for an excuse and stop looking for a fucking scapegoat. I'm sorry. Listen to me. Listen to me. I'm sorry. What I'm about to say, might piss a lot of people off, but this is the truth. I have to play devil's advocate for the fast food industry. Why? Because everyone at this point should know, or have at least been told at one point in their life, that fast food is not good for you. As I have mentioned earlier at the beginning of this video, remember what I said about me and my consumption of fast food and what did I say? What did I say it was? I said it was a risk. I am taking the risk, and I am taking responsibility for that risk. We know what fast food does. We know how damaging it is. So this whole idea that, oh, the fast food industry should be held responsible for putting unhealthy food on the market is bullshit. Because at what point in time, I will say this until I'm in the fucking grave, at what point in time does personal responsibility come into play? I cannot tolerate when people try to sue these companies for their consumption of their products. Case in point, that's the exact same thing as people who smoke try to turn around and sue the cigarette companies. That is bullshit. You know what this stuff will do to you. Take some fucking responsibility as an adult for your actions and your consumption of this harmful product. You know what it will do to you. Stop looking for an excuse and stop trying to use these companies as a fucking scapegoat, because you should know better. Listen, I'm tired of this shit. I'm tired of people trying to use this as a goddamn scapegoat. Now, with that being said though, I acknowledge, as I mentioned earlier, you remember earlier in this video when I talked about how there are causes of obesity, and I'm not talking about food consumption, I'm talking about like these health issues, biological causes, mental causes. Okay, those people can be excused. Why? Because the problem is not residing with the fast food industry. However, nor it is not their fault. It is not the fast food industry's fault, nor is it that consumer's fault in this example. Why? Because these people that I'm talking about who have these biological conditions, these conditions that make them want to eat more and more, the condition that even after you've had your fill, you still want more, the condition that, the mental condition where it's like, oh, you know, you have low self-esteem or you're feeling depressed, and how do you work through it? You eat. All of those things, those are biological conditions. Those are the causes in these situations. It's not the person, because it's not always a choice. Why? It's a biological or a mental condition, nor is it the fast food industry's fault. It's the condition, the disease. That's the cause in those examples. For everybody else though, take some fucking responsibility. And the thing that pisses me off even more is that so often you'll have the people I'm talking about, the ones who need to take responsibility, they'll try and use those diseases as their crutch. And no, you aren't affected in the same way that the people with those diseases are affected. Once again, you're using an excuse and you're looking for a scapegoat. Take responsibility for your fucking actions. So have we covered that? We acknowledge the fact that it is not fucking the fast food industry's fault. Why? Because at the end of the day, they're a business. And what is the only purpose of a business in corporate America and in a capitalist America? To make money. They're going to do whatever the fuck they need to in order to make money. It's not their fault, because that's why they exist, to make money. Okay? It's the fault of the fucking consumer, because you should know better, and to the people who have those diseases that I talked about, the disease is at fault, not the person and not the industry. Okay, and finally, do you think the government needs to control what we eat? Absolutely not. Why? Because I just said it. People need to take responsibility for their fucking actions. I mean, let me put it to you like this. If it gets so bad that the government has to step in and make decisions for you because you aren't smart enough to make those decisions for yourself, then that's pretty fucking bad, don't you think? I think we all are in agreement that the government shouldn't monitor they shouldn't dictate what you eat, but I think we can also agree that they shouldn't have to. They shouldn't, but they also shouldn't have to. Can we agree on that at least? I would hope so. But I want to go ahead and wrap up this discussion with this last with pretty much this last point I want to address, because I do also recognize this. Another problem with obesity, though, especially in America, is that you'll notice most of the time, a lot of the more healthy food is more expensive. That's a cause I haven't addressed yet. That is actually an external cause. It's an economic and sociological. That's not even a word. It's an economic and it's a social issue. It's a social cause that the food on the market, the more healthier it is, the more expensive it is, which means that the least healthy food is the most expensive, and therefore for people who have low means, who live in poverty and stuff like that, that's the only food that they can afford. I do acknowledge that fact, okay? And that is a reasonable argument that maybe it's not necessarily the consumer's fault because that's all they can afford, and so I do acknowledge that, okay? I acknowledge that because that is another issue. But I feel like that sort of thing can branch off into a completely another topic. The idea that why is it that healthy food is more expensive and, the least healthy food is the cheapest, that's a whole nother fucking topic. I think that has more to do with the food industry as a whole, its place in capitalist America, the manipulation of the market, and to be honest with you, that whole fucking thing, to me, I think just boils down to greed, honestly, to these food manufacturers' greed. You see what I'm saying? I just think that's what it is. So, but like I said, that's completely another topic. So yeah, so I think for the most part, not to make this video too long, that's pretty much my thoughts on obesity in America. I tried my best to tackle every little bit I could without, like I mentioned with the whole economic issue at the end, without branching off into, whole different topics. You see what I'm saying? I tried to cover all my ground as best I could. But yeah, this was a really good topic, and I'm glad it was suggested. I want to thank the Enraged Fixation for suggesting it, because otherwise I probably never would have gotten around to talking about this. So with that being said, I'm going to wrap up this video. I want to thank you all for joining me again this week, and like I said, in the comments below, leave your thoughts on this topic, but also leave suggestions for next week's topic and vote up the ones that you want to see discussed. And like I said, for those of you all who are new to my channel, make sure you check out those other videos in regards to those other topics, because I have discussed them in some light or in some vein or in some fashion previously. And as for our new topics, like I said, I'm looking for the unique topics, the ones I haven't addressed yet, the ones I haven't had a chance to talk about yet. So with that being said, keep an eye out. Sunday, I believe, is my Comic Book Hollywood movie review of Spider-Man 2. And with that being said, this has been Larry Williams, OAW Commander-in-Chief. That's my timer, and I'm signing off. Peace.